again, Mark here from Talkingbass.net. This week I'm going to be taking a look at 5 absolute must-know bass riffs from the amazing Led Zeppelin, all played by one of the most innovative bass players in history, John Paul Jones. Now, I've obviously picked 5 of the most obvious and most popular examples from Led Zeppelin's catalogue of legendary bass riffs, but I have to say, anyone starting on the road to becoming a rock bass player could do a lot worse than learning as many Zeppelin bass lines as possible. Every song is pretty much a masterclass in rock bass playing, and you get to work on so many different aspects of how bass can be used in an arrangement, from doubling guitar riffs to weaving intricate and improvised melodic lines through a chord progression. John Paul Jones is obviously a huge name in bass playing, but he's often overlooked in favour of some of the more flamboyant players from that era. Don't fall into that trap. John Paul Jones is a monster player and writer. So let's start with probably the easiest of the bass lines in this list. Dazed and Confused from the first Led Zeppelin album called Led Zeppelin. So the riff sounds like this. So this tune is in the time signature of 12/8, but don't worry too much about that. It's pretty much 4/4, just counted in triplet time. So we would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we come in with an open E on the final 8th note of that bar. So that's 3 and 4 and okay, and then we start this descent from the G there, 10th fret of the A string, and all these notes are going to be on the A string. So we come down G, F sharp, F, E. So in terms of the frets, that's 10, 9, 8, 7. Then we have another open E, and then we have D, C sharp, C, B. So that's 5th fret, 4th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. So we're kind of working down chromatically, and then just switching onto that D there. And that's it. That's the whole of that riff, and we just go round and round. So not much to it. Just remember that when you hear the click, it's going to be coming in on that final note, and start out slow, build up speed, and then you can play it with the backing track. Now, one little tip in terms of the technique, you could play all of this with one finger, but it might help in terms of positioning to actually, and kind of efficiency of positioning, to actually start with the 3rd finger, the ring finger there for the G. So we have 3rd finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger, and then just move that 1st finger down to the E there. So 3, 2, 1, 1 in terms of the fingers there. So, and then the same thing again starting on the D. So ring finger, 2nd finger, 1st finger, 1st finger. Okay, so with the track, 3 and 4 and 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 3 and Next, let's have a look at another tune from that Led Zeppelin album, Good Times, Bad Times. Now, this is a favourite amongst drummers because of John Bonham's wicked playing and bass drum work. But the bass line is equally impressive. So, let's have a listen to the main riff. So this tune's got a bit of an E mixolydian vibe, so key signature wise it'd probably be A major. And we begin on the E 7th fret of the A string, and we play that twice. And then we slide down. So if you've never tried to slide before, you just hold down the note and then just move the hand down. So, okay. Then we move down to this cool little pattern here. That's a very, very popular pattern actually, so it's worth really nailing this. We're going to be playing a little D extended power chord. Okay, so we're going to be playing D, 5th fret of the A string, then we're going to be playing the A, 7th fret of the D string, and then the D, 7th fret of the G string. And we just come back and forth on that. So we start at the bottom, D, A, D, A, D, A. So A string, D string, G string, D string, G string, D string. But the key to getting this is doing something that I kind of call joint barring. I don't know what the official name for this would be, but I call it joint barring because you're using the joint there of the pinky. So to do this, hold down the D, 5th fret of the A string with the first finger. Then once you've played that and we move across to the D string, catch that with the pinky, and you want to play that pretty much with the pad on the end of the finger. Okay, so you've released pressure on the A string there. So, and then to catch that D up on the G string, the top note there, you just want to kind of flatten the pinky out. So, and also use a bit of the hand for leverage. So you're not having to use just the finger, you're actually bringing the hand round a bit, okay? So, and we're releasing pressure on the D string. And this all happens very quickly, but you kind of get muscle memory for this, and it's very much automated, kind of instinctive. So just get used to that move. The first finger, release pressure, apply pressure on the D string with the pad of the finger, and then catch with that joint pretty much of the pinky, bringing the hand round so that you've got a bit more leverage and releasing pressure at the same time on the D string. That way we don't get this kind of chordal effect. And just get used to going backwards and forwards on that. Just using that 4th finger, the pinky, just barring between the two. It'll take a little bit of getting used to. Probably have to build up a little bit of strength and a bit of the technique, the leverage. But it is such an important and popular move. You get it in everything. You get it in all different styles because this is such a popular little pattern. Okay. Okay. So that's the key to playing that section of the riff. So we just play. So we're moving backwards and forwards on that D and G. After you've played that little move, then we just play up the D major arpeggio. So we've got D, F sharp, A. So that's 5th fret A string, 4th fret D string, 7th fret D string. Then we have this little chromatic move back up to the E. So we go down onto the A string, and we have C sharp, D, D sharp, and then we're back to the E. So 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret on the A string, and back to the E. So all of that together, 3, 4. And that's it. We just play that round and round. The main part of this that's going to give you problems is that little move there. And we obviously hold there on the C sharp and then come up on the D, D sharp and E. Okay, so that's the whole thing. In terms of this hand, the picking hand, one thing that you could do that might make a little bit of a difference is when you play across there, start on the 2nd finger. You don't have to, but I find it helps there. So start on the 2nd finger, so the middle finger, and then alternate. That way, when you get up onto the G string, you're actually playing 2, 1, 2, 1 like this, which can help when you're moving back from high strings. Okay, so with this riff, start out slow, 3, 4. 3, 4. And just practice getting it down. Don't worry about being in time to begin with. Just, work on the actual technique of it, and then just gradually get it more in time, build up speed, and then you can try with the track. Next, let's look at a riff that I've already covered in a previous video, Whole Lotta Love from the Led Zeppelin 2 album. This is one of those riffs that people often learn wrong because the guitar riff is so powerful. It actually makes use of open strings to beef up the line and give some octave and unisons in there. So let's have a listen to how that sounds. So for this riff, we're going to be using a pick because we're going to be making use of this strumming action. Now, you could play it with your fingers, it's just that it won't have the same feel and tone. And John Paul Jones does play this with a pick. So, we've only really got 3 notes to play. We've got a B, 7th fret of the E string, and then we're going to be playing the D, which is going to be the open D, and the 5th fret of the A string. We're playing those two together. And we're going to be playing those with an upstroke. So we go B, D, B, D, okay? And I'm playing the B there with the 4th finger on the 7th fret of the E string, but you could use the 3rd finger. Okay? So you go between those 2 notes, and then we get to this strumming pattern on the E, where we're going to be playing 7th fret of the A string, so that's that E, and the open E string. So we get this nice, big, fat E, okay? So we've got this strumming pattern to play. Okay, so we really want to get into this kind of rhythm, this strumming rhythm. Now, I have given a breakdown of this on another lesson, so I will link to that in the info below, just in case you want to go, a much deeper dive into it. But basically, you want to start with what I call home position, which I've talked about on lots of other videos in case you're getting bored of it. So to do that, just lay that first finger lightly across the A, D, and G strings there, and we're going to do that around the 5th fret, okay? And when you do that, you should kind of get some muted harmonics. Then bring the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers down so that they come up over the E string, so that way we've got this completely muted bass, okay? So to begin with, just get used to the strumming pattern on the E and the A string, playing 16th notes. So, nice loose pick in hand. And try to accent a little on each beat. So we've got 16th notes there, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, start out slow, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, don't have to worry about that hand, that's just laid there. We're just concentrating on the picking. Maybe watch the hand to make sure you're on the right strings, and then just gradually build up speed. You want a nice, funky, consistent rhythm there. Then try adding the notes in there. So we're going to be playing the E there, 7th fret of the A string, with the 4th finger. You could use the 3rd finger as well, either way, whatever works for you. And the open string, obviously. But what we're going to be doing, because we're already in this muted home position, when we play those 2 notes, we then just come straight back to our home position for the muting. So just get used to playing one of those E's on the beat each time. 1 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and just get used to that pattern. So we're working from this position of silence. We're working from this muted home position. So we've got that there, and then we just allow that finger to drop down, and that fourth finger to drop down on that 7th fret. You know, bring these other fingers up so that we get that open string, and just let it through on beats. Each beat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and just build up speed. You can see that those second and third fingers are lifting up as we do this. This is good for the independence of the fingers. Then we want to add one more of those notes in there on the 16th note before. Okay, so this is on 1 E and A. So 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. So. And that's the rhythm. You'll find that you probably put a few more of those in. You know, you don't have to worry too much. This isn't, you know, like some, you know, intricate technical exercise. You're just getting into the groove of it. So you might be putting them in all over the place. You know, doesn't really matter. But you just want to be aiming for those 2 16ths in there. So now we can just put those two parts together. So we start. And you can see there that the hand is hardly moving. Because I'm in this position for the home position, I'm just catching that B there, 7th fret of the E string with that 4th finger, then allowing the 1st finger to take that D. So you can see hardly any movement. So as I showed there, just start out really, really slow until you've got the technique down, then you can try with the track. Now let's try another super famous riff in the shape of Heartbreaker. And this again is from Led Zeppelin 2. And this riff actually uses some distortion and a Leslie speaker cabinet. Now I don't have a Leslie speaker or emulator, so I'm just going to add a bit of chorus on there. But I am going to use a pick just like John Paul Jones does in there for a little bit more crunch. So here's the riff. Now, there are several different ways that you could play this. I'm going to show you one way, but some other ways might use open strings, you know, whatever works for you, but I'll get through the notes here. So, we begin on an A, so I'm going to be playing this on the 5th fret of the E string, and then we come up this little minor pattern. So we've got A, C, D, D sharp, E, G. So, 5th fret E string, 3rd fret A string, and then we come up 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, and then back down onto the E string for the G, okay? Okay, so after you've hit that E, the 7th fret of the E string, you need to jump down and catch that G. And Jimmy Page puts quite a bit of vibrato and a little bend on that on the guitar, so you can put that in as well. You know, so we've got that. The second time we played those 4 16th notes on the A, so this is on the 5th fret of the E string. So exactly the same notes in there. So we shift that entire pattern up to the B here. So 7th fret E string, then we just work up with the same pattern. So 7th fret, so that D, 5th fret of the A string, E, 7th fret of the A string, then F and F sharp. So that's what's that? 8th fret and 9th fret on the A string. So then again 4 16th notes on the B there. Then on the next time we have this little kind of bend. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but we've got this kind of little slide up to, or hammer on up to the B again. So from the 6th fret to the 7th fret there. So A sharp to the B. And then we're back down to that A. Okay, so that's all of it. So we've got this single pattern repeated again on the A, then shifted up to that B. Okay, so again, all the tab for this and all the lesson workbook and the track is all there over at talkingbass.net. So if you're having any trouble with any of these, just go check that out, play along, and start out really slow, build up speed, and then try it with the track. Lastly, let's have a look at one of the main riffs from Black Dog from Led Zeppelin 4. Now we're going to look at the extended riff that's there at the end of the verse because it also includes the earlier section. So if you can nail this riff, then you'll automatically know the riffs that come before it. So here's the riff. So we begin on an E, 7th fret of the A string. And then we come up with this little chromatic line, this little bluesy line, G, G sharp, A on the D string. So that's 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret. Okay, so then back to the E, 7th fret of the A string. Then we move up to the C, 5th fret of the G string, and then down to the A, 7th fret of the D string. So a very bluesy line, A blues there. Okay, you can even put a little bend on there if you want. Then we move up to the D and E, 7th fret, 9th fret G string. And then we have this little turn. Okay, so we've got a little turn there with a hammer on and pull off. Now, if you've never tried a hammer on and pull off, you'll be able to get some practice here. So we're playing the C there, 5th fret of the G string. We hold that down with the first finger, then we hammer on or just press down with the third finger at the 7th fret. So it's 5th fret to 7th fret. So we're always holding this note down here at the 5th fret. Keep that first finger there. Play it, hammer on to the 7th fret, then pull off, so you just let the finger slip off. Same kind of action as picking, really, but just the other way. So, and if you've got that first finger still held down at the 5th fret, then you'll get the C again. So, play the C, hammer on, pull off. So that first finger stays there all the time. So, then we're down to the A, 7th fret of the D string. So we've got. Two on that A, then C, A, so that's 5th fret G string, 7th fret D string again. And then we just have this descending line of, so 5th fret to 7th fret D string, so G to A, 2 notes on the A there. Then 5th fret to 7th fret A string, so D to E, and C to D, 3rd fret, 5th fret, A string, and then the open A. So, okay, so you can play that with either the 1st and 3rd finger or the 1st and 4th finger. Makes no difference, really. So far we have so we can play the open A there, or we can play the A at the 5th fret of the E string. Next, the chord kind of changes to E, and we're going to be starting on the B, 7th fret of the E string. We have this little repeating pattern. So we have. So this is the same move that we had up there, but down a string. So B, D, D sharp, E. So that's 7th fret E string, 5th, 6th, 7th fret on the E string. Back to the B, 7th fret of the E string, and then G, 5th fret of the D string, down to the E, 7th fret of the A string. Okay, and then we just repeat that 3 times, or twice. So. But because of the actual time signature there, we're kind of playing a polymeter, and it kind of takes us out of time and then back in. So, I say out of time, we're not really out of time. We just end up on a different beat. So. So then on the final time, on the 4th time, when we play B, D, D sharp, E, we just move back to the D, 5th fret of the A string, and then we're back into our original part. So. Then we're back up here. Okay, and that's the whole thing. So once you've learned that first part, you know, you've pretty much learned the whole thing. You just have to move it down, repeat, and repeat of the opening part, okay? Now, I would advise you to start slow with this until you've got all of those notes under your fingers. I mean, if you can break it down and see that we're actually repeating a lot of figures and just transposing figures, it can make things a lot easier rather than just going through, you know, note by note by note by note, you know. Try to look for patterns. You know, there's a lot of repeated stuff in there. Once you've got that first part down, the rest of it should come. So start slow, playing out of time if you have to, build up speed, and then you can try with the track. Okay, so that's 5 super cool riffs from Led Zeppelin, and as I said before, any aspiring rock bass players out there should really learn as much John Paul Jones as possible, and don't just learn the riffs in isolation. Use the riffs that I've just played as a springboard and try to learn the entire songs, because there's so much to gain from every section. John doesn't stick to any one thing. He's likely to improvise and have creative variations in all of the sections. So, you know, you're going to hear a lot of changes in there, so try to learn the whole song. So remember to like this video if it's helped, and subscribe to the channel for weekly lessons on every bass topic. Also, visit talkingbass.net for hundreds more lessons and resources, and sign up for free to gain access to even more cool stuff. Okay, I'll see you next week.